David here with Figboot on pens, back again with another fountain pen review. I recently reviewed a pen from the Carolina Pen Company called the Convert, which you are able to convert between being a fountain pen and a rollerball. During that review, I showed you a pen from a different artisan, which had the same basic concept, but goes about it in a different way. A way that I will admit that I had not seen before, because it allows you to use your fountain pen ink in a rollerball. And that pen is from Dave Dollar, and it is called the Mercury. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of this unique offering, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to Dave Dollar for providing this pen on loan for review. And in order to get a closer look at the duality of this pen, please join me over here at camera 2. The pen arrives in this box. It has a nice wax seal with one of Dave Dollar's insignias there, which is a dollar sign. And inside the box, we have a couple of things. First of all, there is a nice pen sleeve, and this is his actual logo. It has a dollar sign on a nib. And then we have a pen. And here we have the Mercury Convertible Pocket Fountain Pen. This material is called All About the Benjis, which is a resin meant to emulate the colors of a $100 bill. It's a custom resin created by Joe Just Pens exclusively for Dave Dollar. And I think it does a nice job of that. And even if you didn't know it was kind of modeled to be after a $100 bill, I think the combinations of the blues and the greens and the coppers are interesting. And you can see here that it is not an overly large pen or thick pen. Here on the end, you can see that there is a coin. When Dave started, let me get that into screen here. When Dave started making custom pens back in 2021, he was looking for a way to make his pens stand out, so he decided to incorporate a reference to his last name, Dollar. He was able to pick up some miniature novelty coins and incorporate them into the finial. In regard to some of his other models, there is the Liberty, which incorporates the Walking Liberty $50. There is the Ike, which uses a miniature Eisenhower dollar. And then this Mercury here appropriately uses a Mercury dime. That is also called Winged Liberty. That you can see here that the cap angles up slightly and then straightens out for about the last, actually it doesn't straighten out. It kind of reaches an apex and then tapers down slightly. Then I'd say there's a small step down from the cap to the barrel, which is straight for maybe about 1.5 inches before tapering down to a flat end. The cap twists off with 2.5 rotations, and underneath we have a number 5 that's a Schmidt nib. This pen is available in a variety of Jowo and Schmidt and Bach nibs that you can have fitted in here. And we'll talk about the rollerball in just a minute, but the rollerball is a Schmidt rollerball as well. And here we have the plastic feed. You can see that the section begins with a raised ring, and then the section actually angles up a little bit until you reach the threads and a very small step up to the remainder of the barrel. This pen is plenty long enough to use without posting. Now, I will say that it doesn't post that deep and it doesn't post that securely. I wish it posted a little bit deeper. It does have a bit of that mushroom look to it. And since it doesn't post deep, it kind of posts at an angle. And so I prefer to use this pen unposted. Okay, in regard to the fountain pen aspect of this pen, you can use this as an eyedropper. I will say that when you are untwisting the section, let me go ahead and close that. It is a bit lengthy. There is a large amount of twists needed in order to get the section off. Let's actually count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So, it's just a little bit excessive there. Now you can see here that it has a converter here that it can be used in the fountain pen format. If you'd like to as well, with the appropriate silicone grease, you could eyedropper this pen to use as a fountain pen as well. But it is marketed as being a pen that can convert. And it's converted using these rollerball, we'll call them tips right here. And something I thought was interesting is there is some filament inside there. And so you can go ahead and use a standard converter on the end of here, and you can use your fountain pen ink in this rollerball. Now, I didn't test it with these, but I can imagine that you would not want to use maybe heavy shimmer inks or heavy sheening inks, things like that that have little particles in them or gunk. I would not expect to work well within this pen. I made sure to test with one that that didn't have any particles in it that I can see, and it performs very well. I'll show you in the writing sample. But I would imagine if you have glitter and shimmer and things like that in the pens or in inks, that it's not going to work well with this rollerball. But what you do is I've gone ahead and loaded this one up right here with some ink. And let's go ahead and remove this. And what we would do is go ahead and remove the section and remove the nib. And then we'll try to do this carefully. But we will go ahead and put this section back in and then attach the converter and then close this up after many turns. And now you have a rollerball. Let's go ahead and do this. Let me go ahead and show some measurements and some size comparisons, and then I'll show you how both the rollerball and fountain pen perform. Here we have some size comparisons for the Dave Dollar Mercury convertible pocket fountain pen. Actually, right now it is in the rollerball configuration. Here it is with a Lamy Safari. And here it is with a Leonardo Momento Zero. This is the Cometa, which is one of my favorite models that they came out with. This was available through Stilo and Stile. And then here it is with a Pilot Vanishing Point. In regard to some pens from some individual artisans, here we have one from Hello Studio, and then this is one from Maverick Pens, and then the one that I recently reviewed was the from Carolina Pen Company. This is the Convert, and I think it's in the rollerball state right now. Yes, to where this one has the rollerball conversion. You can see a review I recently did, but for this one, it actually uses rollerball refills there rather than using the fountain pen ink. But I think it looks nicely with that, and that's what it looks like in comparison to the Dave Dollar model. In regard to uncapped comparisons, this is what it looks like with the Safari and the Momento Zero. And then here it is with the Convert from the Carolina Pen Company. Okay, in regard to our writing sample, since it is already in its rollerball configuration, let me go ahead and start here. So we have the Dave Dollar, and this is the Mercury convertible pocket pen. And the ink that I'm using in here is Pilot Iroshizuku. Kujaku. This is what the ink looks like. It's a really nice blue-green. It looks similar, maybe not quite as similar to Stilo and Stile's Roman bronze oxidation. This is more of like a green-blue as opposed to something I would describe as a blue-green. And then another kind of a darker green-blue is Sailor's Yamadori. These are what the Iroshizuku bottles look like. You can say this one is well used. I probably only have like a quarter of that ink left. So this is an ink that has been well used, as you can see by the markings here on the label. But I just love these bottles. I think they look fantastic sitting on desk. They're one of my favorite ink bottle designs. And in regard to the ink flow on here, I think that it's rather decent. I was just kind of testing it out. You get a little bit of smear in there. You know, this is a rollerball. You're not going to get any line variation or anything like that. But in regard to some fast writing, I had no issues with this keeping up. And so, as I mentioned before, I think if you put some heavily pigmented ink in here or something with a lot of particles in it, that it might not work well. I'm assuming that that's the case. But in regard to, we'll just call it a straight ink, it performs really well. And that I have had no issues whatsoever in using this. And, you know, one of the things I use a lot at work a lot is I use these platinum preppies. Because what I can do is I can use these in place of like Sharpie markers, and they have like a tip on the end here, and I could use these in place of the Sharpie markers, and I could put my own fountain pen ink in here. And that I usually have one in red and one in blue that I use a lot at work. These are becoming more and more difficult to find, but they're something I enjoy using just because, in essence, it's like being able to use a Sharpie with fountain pen ink in it, which I enjoy. Okay, let's go ahead and convert this over to a fountain pen. So we're going to go ahead and carefully remove that. And also remove this. And then we'll go ahead and affix the nib, tighten it just a little bit, and the converter. And then I have a different ink that we're going to use. And the ink I'm going to use is Diamine Ancient Copper, just because I thought it matched well with the copper in this pen. Also, it's one of my favorite kind of reddish browns. So let me go ahead and wipe that off. Then we'll go ahead and get this out of the way. And twist and twist and twist. Okay, so now we have the Diamine Ancient Copper. This is what that ink looks like. It is just a nice kind of reddish brown. Like I said, it's one of my favorite reddish brown inks. This is what it looks like with Papier Plume's Rebirth, which is a little bit more on the brown side. And then this is Conway Stewart's King Sand. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. I have enjoyed Schmidt nibs. That I do think that they're a bit underrated. You're not going to, with this steel nib, you're going to get a lot of line variation in here. But I think that the Schmidt nibs are fairly smooth. This medium nib, you know what, forgot to mention that this is a medium nib, that it does lay down a healthy amount of ink. In regard to reverse writing, it's kind of hit and miss there. But then in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up well. I will say that this is a rather narrow pen, that I prefer my sections and pens to be a little bit thicker, but this is a nice size for a pocket pen, and this Schmidt nib performs very well. But you could also have it affixed with a Bach or Jovo nib if you care as well. So there we have the Dave Dollar Mercury convertible pocket pen. The retail price for this pen is $200, which is along the lines of what a well-made artisan bespoke pen is going to be. And I think that this is something that's unique and different. And I had never seen a rollerball like this that you could run on fountain pen ink. Maybe they've been out there for a while, but it hasn't been anything that I've seen. And so it was something that intrigued me, and in practical purpose here actually worked very well. And it worked well under both situations, whether it was with the fountain pen configuration or with the rollerball. So I'll put a link to Dave Dollar's site in the notes below, and I encourage you to check it out. Thanks again go out to Dave for loaning me this pen for review, and I encourage you to check out his site and take a look at his other offerings. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.